We're here. The rematch between Merab Dvalishvili and Sean O'Malley is set for this Saturday at UFC 316. A rematch that not every fan wanted, and there was certainly a question about whether Sean O'Malley deserved an immediate rematch against Merab Dvalishvili. But after their first fight at UFC 306 in the Sphere, the pair are set to lock horns again this Saturday in Newark, New Jersey at UFC 316. The champion Merab is on a 12-fight win streak going into this fight, and that 5-fight win streak over Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley and Umar Nurmagomedov is one of the greatest 5-fight runs in UFC history. I feel like last time out, and the doubt that was shown around Merab in his matchup against Umar Nurmagomedov really cemented him as the champion that he is and the king at 135. Sean O'Malley competed on the very first season of Dana White's Contender Series and has kind of always been a star in the making. He's had rocky moments when you think about the first Chito Vera fight, when you think about the no contest against Pedro Munoz a couple of years ago. But that win over Peter Yan in Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago, followed up by claiming the title against Aljamain Sterling at UFC 292 in Boston, really set this new star in motion. Obviously that one defence against Chito Vera coming early in 2024, but we haven't seen him since his defeat to Merab in the Sphere last September. UFC 316 is finally here. Merab Dvalishvili versus Sugar Sean O'Malley for the UFC bantamweight title. And Inside Fighting has partnered with our friends at DraftKings to get you closer to the action. Right now, if you're a new customer, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up using our promo code Inside Fighting. Bet $5 and you'll receive $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. When we look at the first fight and look at what we can potentially learn going into this rematch, it feels like the same kind of narrative going in, which is essentially that Sean O'Malley has 10 minutes to win this fight. The general consensus from fans going into the first fight was one of two outcomes: Sean O'Malley via KO or Merab via decision, and that kind of played out with the champion largely dominating the fight over the course of 5. Sean did hurt Merab badly to the body in the 5th round, and that's something that can't be overlooked and could be a potential method of victory for the challenger in this fight. I just don't see a method to victory for anybody in the bantamweight division over 5 rounds against Merab. It really feels like with his pace and his pressure and his gas tank, you're going to need to stop him and more than likely knock him out. Who has the best chance to do that at 135? It is Sean O'Malley. So if there is a guy who can do it in this weight class, it probably is Sean. There's been a lot made in the media of some of Sean O'Malley's comments, who came out and said that he's given up both weed and social media in the lead up to this fight. That in theory would help him with his preparation and his focus, but you do also wonder if those aspects are what already got him here, and if that could potentially negate from his performance in the cage. This fight is simply a must-win for Sean O'Malley in order for him to continue his rise to become one of, if not the potential new face of the UFC. But I just feel like he's coming up against the force of nature in Merab, and I do feel like Merab's gas tank and pressure, in a similar way to the first fight, is going to be too much for Sean in this rematch. We recently spoke to John Wood here at Inside Fighting, Merab Dvalishvili's head coach, and he talked about how he's trying to develop Merab's style to be more finish orientated. And I do foresee a finish for Merab in this fight. 4th round, 5th round, late ground and pound for the champion over the challenger in order to defend his belt at UFC 316. Looking ahead to what's potentially next for the winner of this fight, I feel like a win for Merab really starts to elevate that conversation in terms of him potentially being the bantamweight GOAT. I think when you look at his resume, maybe not of all of those fights were on the title level, but in terms of the names on his resume, I think it's a really starting to get to the point where you can start arguing that Merab Dvalishvili is the greatest fighter in bantamweight history. For Sean, it would kind of continue his meteoric rise, and again would put him in a great position to become one of the faces of the UFC. I do also think a win for Sean would be a massive chapter in his rise in order to be able to overcome such a setback, lose to a guy, lose his title and reclaim it. That would be a massive arc in the career of Sean O'Malley.